So how would you feel if your spouse abducted your child?
So the reason I want this story to get out is so that other families like ours don't have to suffer the loss of your child, your grandchild. He has aunts and uncles and cousins and so much family that he doesn't have a chance to know.
Tony has a difficult road ahead of him, but my suggestion is that he keep fighting because it's the right fight. He needs to do everything he can for his son.
My name is Anthony Pietro Priola. My dream, my passion is to have a homestead where I can be a stay-at-home father. Provide for my son or my children in giving them opportunities for work and learning and knowing where their food comes from and how to survive on their own, you know.
My name is Donna Priola. I live in Maryland. My son is Anthony, and he lives in Hawaii. He's always been free-spirited, but always very helpful, loving, supporting, just a good, all-round good person. Tony and Mado met when they were teenagers.
When I was about 25, I went to Greece and I proposed to her. We got married. We had my son. We decided to have my son in Greece because it was our first child, and I wanted her to be comfortable with the pregnancy. I saved a lot of money to relocate back to Hawaii. Our life together here was like normal family, you know. You're working, you're going through day to day, making breakfast, you have your days off of work. You're at the beach, you're having barbecues. What I love most about my son was his purity and loving how things worked in nature, and we would go harvest coconuts, and I'd have a helper at the bottom babysitting him while I'm trimming trees. And then we go and we're all hanging out, me and him together, opening coconuts and drinking and the coconut water, and just teaching him about this beautiful island and where we live.
My name is Paul Toland. I'm a retired U.S. Navy captain. I served 30 years in the U.S. Navy Medical Service Corps. I got to know Anthony because we were both parents of children who were abducted, and we met at a child abduction conference in Washington, D.C.
My son had called me while I was at work and was hysterically crying, saying that she had taken his son and left. It was a day I'll never forget, and it's been 4 years.
One day I came home, September 5th, 2017. I came to my house where my son's belongings were scattered around the house as if my ex left in a hurry. I noticed some important paperwork was missing. My ex was becoming very unhappy and depressed, communicating with other people behind my back about how much Greece has to offer, like she was trying to sell people on the idea of leaving Hawaii.
We were up, basically 24 hours a day, searching, trying to research what we could do. Who do you call? Where do you go? You just don't know.
I went to the Gila Police Department and I put a missing persons case on my son, called the FBI. I called Homeland Security. I had my son's passport searched and flagged.
And it's not a day goes by that I don't think about him. It's put a hardship on all of us, financially, emotionally, I worry about Tony all the time.
You know, I wasn't prepared for this. No one has, you know, all their savings to just hand over $10,000 to attorneys and for flights and hotels, and you're not prepared for some kind of like quick getaway to Europe.
So there are mechanisms for returning children, and the United States is a member of what they call the Hague Convention. The Hague Convention was implemented about 30 years ago, and what it's supposed to do is countries come together in a treaty to recognize that if a child is wrongfully abducted from one country to another, that they will return that child in an expeditious manner.
You don't realize how many children go through this, and parents, and how it destroys your life. It destroys every part of your life.
The number one obstacle in my fight for the return of my son is dealing with Greece specifically.
The State Department needs to do more than just list them as a non-compliant country. They need to put pressure on them to return children under the Hague, because that would give some big wins.
Most humiliating thing in this whole process is the fact that I have full physical and legal custody of my son, and I also had visitation rights that were supposed to be enforced in Greece. My son has had evidence of abuse. He's voiced this abuse with the local police in Greece, and I tried rescuing my son, and I was arrested and detained illegally for 7 days until I can find a better lawyer to help me get my son back. And another humiliating thing is having to put this story out there.
Tony has tried to do whatever it takes, you know, mediation. He doesn't want to take him from his mother, but he deserves to have a relationship with his son, and his son deserves to have a relationship with him. And I feel a good mother would not do that to their child.
For now, sometimes I do get video chats and phone calls with my son. He's a young kid, so it's hard to keep a child interacting through cameras.
This organization that I'm part of, Bring Abducted Children Home, we've done many things. We worked with a broader coalition of other nonprofit organizations, and through that coalition, we end up at an annual conference in Washington, D.C.
I don't know what I'm doing. I'm a farmer and a cook and a father. Giving power to the people that are supposed to know what avenues to take. I give them, you know, I've spent over $150,000 of my own money in this fight, and yet these laws are supposed to be in place.
If the U.S. will spend some political capital on our children to try to get them back, then they can succeed in getting them back, but they want things to be smooth with other countries. Usually the State Department would prefer and put relations with other countries above the welfare of our children.
It's too long to wait, and nobody should have to wait. No parent should have to wait, no grandparent should have to wait to love their grandchild and be a part of their lives.
If I could ask my politicians, and all politicians, do your job. Well, we put you in power as a public servant. I shouldn't be denied my right to have an interview with you, to sit down and discuss these issues that not only I have, but that a lot of parents all around the world are having. My son, he needs your help. His life is in jeopardy, and until something bad happens, then everybody decides that they could have done more or should have done more. But I need you to do more right now.